just seems like extra work. I don't want to, y'all. I can, if I'm honest. I'm sure that answer was not helpful. We're all really cool over here. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. And today we're going to finish the Q&A, y'all. I thought I was going to be able to get to pretty much all of the questions, but that does not seem like that's going to be the case. So I'll probably do Q&As maybe once a month. I don't know yet. But I'll put up a post asking for questions when we are going to do a Q&A. So, update and where I've been, like while I was MIA a little bit last week. Last Thursday I quit smoking. Again, this is not my first time attempting to quit smoking, but I am 6 days smoke free. Tomorrow will be 7 days smoke free. So people had asked, there were quite a few questions about, had I quit smoking, how was it going? At the time, I had not quit smoking, but I did quit. And so that's where I was at and why I did not show up here Friday like I normally do, because I was, it was day 2 of quitting smoking. And cold turkey, might I add. Let's get into these questions. How long did it take you to feel comfortable posting content? Any advice for someone who wants to start recording and posting? I was pretty comfortable posting content. I was not super comfortable with like responses. I did not know what people were gonna say. And then someone else mentioned introverts have the hardest time opening up. I am an introvert. It is easier for me to sit and talk to the camera than it is for me to walk in a room full of people that I do not know. And that is because I am getting to be myself, but I don't have to have the interaction back and forth in that moment. And what does make me nervous, or used to really make me nervous, is the response that I might get from a video, right? Posting it was not a problem for me. It was thinking about what was gonna come next. At this point though, I have gotten comfortable saying, can I ask why you asked that question? I've gotten comfortable hiding people. And on YouTube, you can hide a person, but they can still see your content and they can still leave comments. You just never have to see it, and neither do your viewers. That's where I was not as comfortable, but I started doing it just because I wanted people to talk to about gardening. And for the most part, people are very nice. I have a very nice community over here. And I rarely do have to hide someone, but I have, because I don't want to be trolled. I don't come here to be trolled. I don't come here for people to always be saying what I did wrong. And if I see that that is how a person constantly comments, I don't hide the people who say you did this wrong, you did that wrong. I don't hide them. What I do decide to do is not to engage. And so for me, posting it was not my issue. Actually being comfortable with the fact that everybody is not gonna like you. People are gonna say that. There are people who are just not gonna like you, period, point blank, not gonna be happy for you, that kind of stuff. And that's okay. I decide how I deal with that. So to answer your question, I was comfortable posting it. I had to get comfortable with the response to it. Someone said, hi Asia, can you share tips on how not to get overwhelmed in the garden? So my whole way of gardening is to avoid overwhelm, if I'm honest. Like when there are things that need to be done and I just be like, I'm not doing that today because I don't feel like it. That is a way that I avoid overwhelm. And for the most part, it doesn't stop my harvest. So let's see. Okay, for instance, I was like, I need to move the elderberry bush, but I was like, not today. Because before it's time for that elderberry to start growing, I'll make sure the elderberry is moved. Same thing with the orchard area. Like last year, I told y'all I ain't going in here. I'm not worrying about it. Like I'm gonna harvest what I can. And now this year, before spring starts, I'm gonna get that stuff moved around. So honestly, my whole way of gardening is to avoid overwhelm. When I say things like, you know, I don't feel like doing that right now, so I'm not gonna do it. That kind of stuff, that's how I avoid overwhelm. And then there are other things. For instance, mulching. Mulching helps to keep the soil moist, right? So maybe that's less time that I have to water. What else? Let me think of ways that what practices that I put in place, aside from just my overall attitude of whatever. Methods that I put in place. Oh, so you remember, well, you might not remember because you could be new here. Last year, I planted out in phases. So instead of trying to plant everything at the same time on the same day, I planted out in phases, and then that took out some of the overwhelm of trying to get the whole garden planted at one time. Also helped because everything did not become ready and needing to be preserved or used all at the same time too. So that's a good thing to do as well. And then just being okay with, if, like, let's say, for instance, okay, let me say it like this. Let's say you have a bunch of zucchini that's ready to be harvested, but then you have a bunch of peppers that need to be harvested. I would harvest my zucchini first, deal with those, and then the peppers, because peppers can stay on the plant longer than the zucchini can. Then you can kind of balance it. I think it's just very much a balancing act, especially when it is time to plant and especially when it is time to harvest. So I guess you got to decide what you also want from your garden and what you're willing to lose, because I do that, y'all. Okay, somebody asked, what is the secret to keeping your grow bags moist? I have 40 bags that are destined for the trash. No. No, I'm joking. If it's not something you can do, it makes sense. Trying to keep them moist almost cost me my sanity. Can you convince me to give them another try? The only thing I can say about grow bags is I grow things in my grow bags that don't mind drying out. Okay, so tomatoes, they don't mind drying out, and I've heard it makes the tomato more flavorful if it dries out. Peppers prefer not to have super wet roots. So I try to grow things that don't mind drying out, because I'm not doing anything special to my bags, but I'm also not running to water them every time they dry out either. I also try to put compost in the bags, because compost helps with the organic matter, can help to hold some moisture into the bag too. Vermiculite is probably helpful too, because I think vermiculite actually holds moisture. I don't do a lot to keep my bags moist, but planting things in the bags that don't mind drying out is helpful too. So for the most part, I plant tomatoes, peppers, and potatoes in the bags. Now potatoes, you do need to water them a little more than you would water a pepper or a tomato, in my experience, but they're not gonna die from, a day or 2 or 3 of not being watered. I plant things that's okay with drying out, but bags can dry out, and I say it all the time, they dry out way more than like a garden bed or a raised bed or something like that. So I don't know if that convinced you. I did want to tell you what I do. Someone said, why did you decide to stop using fish emulsion fertilizer, and will you ever go back? I did not stop using it. I stopped using it inside for my seedlings. Outside, I still will use fish emulsion with no problem. When these seedlings go outside, I will use fish emulsion in the beginning to help them start to grow. I'm just not using them inside because I don't want aphids from the very beginning of their life all the way to the end, like with my peppers. But no, I love fish emulsion. I'm always going to use it. I'm just not using it for my seedling fertilizer anymore. Okay, so this is a good question. Would you ever want to profit from your garden, like selling eggs or seeds, etc.? So it just seems like extra work. I think I said it before. I'm not in this for the money. I give my eggs away. I give my vegetables away. It just seems like extra work to have to sell. For one, like with eggs, if I'm selling them, legally, like if the government knows that I'm selling them, I have to wash those eggs. I have to refrigerate those eggs. I don't want to, y'all. If I'm honest, I don't want to. Or seeds, then you run the risk of somebody getting seeds that didn't germinate. Now I gotta worry about returns. Y'all, I don't want to do extra work. As long as I can pay my bills, I'm fine. So I guess the answer to that question is no. And then they said, or maybe working with a nonprofit. I wouldn't mind working with a nonprofit. The thing is, I don't want to do things that's gonna stress me out. And even working with nonprofits can be stressful. What do you think about Fed grant programs? Have you applied for any? I don't think anything about it because I don't know anything about it and I have never applied. One more. Did you take any certification courses? I did not. I'm looking to learn, and I watch you and others and learn from you all, but I was thinking about taking a certification course. So they have like Master Gardener classes. Master Gardener? Yeah, classes. Never interested me, if I'm honest, because if you watch me, you know, I just like trying stuff to see what happens. And for me, it's just more rules that I'm gonna have in my head that I'm gonna try to follow. Some might work and some might not. And I'm getting a good harvest with what I am doing right now. Yeah, I can understand the question. It's just really not me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sure that answer was not helpful. Someone said, hey Asia, love your videos. Thank you. How did you learn to edit your YouTube video? I just started doing it, honestly. And then if I had a question, like if I was wanting to do something, like let's say I watched somebody's video and they did something, I would Google it and say like, how do you do this in this software? Because originally I was using CapCut. CapCut got taken away. I moved to Davinci and I stayed with Davinci because I like Davinci. There's more things you can do. I just started doing it, and originally I started on my phone, which made it even easier, but my phone started filling up with storage and I was like, well, that's not going to work. And so I started doing it on the computer on my laptop, and I just started Googling. Let's say I wanted to learn how to do an effect or something like that. I would just Google how to do an effect or whatever on DaVinci Resolve or on CapCut. And there are so many YouTube videos. There are also like Skillshare. I have Skillshare and I use that too. So there's a bunch of different things that I did, but mostly I just started doing it. And then as I wanted to do different things, I would Google it. And that's really the way that I learned how to edit. Okay, someone said, how are you? I'm good. I'm well, but nervous actually posting this. Don't be nervous. We're all really cool over here. But my question is, how do you know what will fit where? Like spacing is a huge problem for me, along with the green hornworms. Yeah, the hornworms are a mess. They're very pretty, but they a mess. So how do you know what will fit in a space or spaces you have and not get overcrowded or either be too far away? I hope this question makes sense. The question does make sense. From the time after my first year where I just threw stuff in the garden bed, after that, I have always used square foot gardening. So square foot is a method where you basically mark off each square foot in your garden bed or in your garden space. I treat my 7-gallon bags as 1 square foot. You measure that off. And then if you Google, it's like easy Google. There's also a book. There's a few books, but the person who I guess came up with square foot gardening has a book, and it tells you how many of a certain plant can go into each square foot. So I've always used square foot method gardening. I like it. It has worked for me. So if I were you, I would look up square foot gardening. And like I said, I treat my bags as 1 square foot. Although last year I realized I could put basil in bags with tomatoes and they still will grow. So that's me, you know, learning and growing a little bit. But square foot gardening, look that up. It makes spacing so easy in gardening. Okay, whoa, this got a lot of questions in it, y'all, but I think I answered some of them already. Have I ever tried making sourdough? I have. It was horrible. I'm gonna try again though. If I only had 1 garden bed, what would I grow? For sure, potatoes. I don't know how big this garden bed is, but for sure I would grow potatoes. Now, I'm saying this for like spring, summer. Potatoes, tomatoes, and that would be a Cherokee purple tomato and some type of paste tomato. I will also grow peppers, which would be shishito peppers, and then a bell pepper that I would let ripen to the color so it would be sweet because I don't eat green pepper. There would have to be some flowers. So calendula and nasturtiums would definitely be in my garden bed too, and some basil. If I only had 1 garden bed, that's exactly what I would grow. Oh, and then someone said, did the thing you were dealing with lately get resolved? Somewhat. It's not nearly as heavy as it was, to answer your question. So someone asked, how has gardening affected my mental health? I think gardening really affects my mental health in a positive way. I say it all the time. I think I said it in my last video. I could go out into the garden with something heavy. Like right now with everything I got going on, quitting smoking, everything else. If I could go outside, I would be okay. But we're literally under a sheet of ice right now and we got snow coming. But anyway, like if I could go outside and be outside and just be working in the garden with my hands in the soil and planting stuff out and watching hummingbirds and seeing butterflies, I would be so happy. But I can't because it's winter time and life doesn't work around the garden. But it's really good for my mental health. So if you don't garden and if you are wondering, like, you know, if this would be helpful, I can only answer for me. Yes, it is so helpful for me. I can literally sit outside, not even gardening, just sitting and looking and watching and listening. And you know, the other thing is I'm in an urban space. I still can drown out the urban noise to hear the birds, to hear the crickets at night. Like, it's very good for my mental health. It says, what was the first thing you planted and what was the process for planting it? I honestly don't know. My first thing, I know I got seedlings from like Lowe's or Home Depot. Y'all, I know I am fidgety. My brain is all over the place. I know y'all seen me. I'm over here, my foot up on this thing. I'm sorry, but this is real life. But I know I used seedlings from like Lowe's or Home Depot the first time. It wasn't a good planting though. It was horrible. My first time was horrible, but I did get some harvest, which is how I ended up turning my whole backyard into a garden. Did you use seedlings or starts? I used starts my first time because I had no idea how to start seeds. And how would you describe your backyard when you first started? Oh, my backyard was so scary. I've said it before. We hardly even use the backyard. We've always had dogs, so the dogs always went in the backyard, but we would literally sit in the front yard more. For one, the mole, vole, groundhog, whatever is back there, it's always been there. It's not new to me having a garden. So the soil was really like mushy. The trees were big, and I have had them cut a couple times, but the trees were big, so you had like areas that were just shaded and some of them was muddy. It was creepy. I love my backyard so much more now than I did when I first started. Let's see. Oh, this is the last one, y'all, and we're at 24 minutes, so that works because I was trying to keep it, although this might not be 30 minutes because I think I'm gonna have to cut some stuff out because I'm all over the place. Okay, so someone is asking about me quitting smoke. Are you doing good on your stop smoking journey? I am now. And what are you finding helpful when trying to quit? So for me, cutting out my triggers. So like, I don't have any coffee today. I have not had coffee since I decided to quit. So 6 days ago was the last time I had coffee. I will be drinking coffee again. I will start back up 14 days. Like when I have not smoked for 14 days, I'm gonna start drinking my coffee again. But right now, I have to cut the triggers out. I have not had any alcoholic beverages because that is a trigger for me. And then the other thing is reminding myself that I'm not quitting for anybody but me. In the past, I've said like I'm quitting for my kids or I'm quitting for this reason, that reason, right? But when you do that, it's at least me. When you do that, then you do things that's contrary to what you say when you are alone, if that makes sense. So yesterday, I went out by myself and I was like, girl, you could smoke. Nobody's gonna know that you had a cigarette. But then I said, you'll know. You're quitting for you, for your health. And so I did not smoke a cigarette yesterday. And so I think that quitting for me and knowing my actual reason why, my kids are a great reason, right? They're the best reason, honestly. But if the reason is that, then I just wouldn't smoke in front of them, but I would still smoke. This time, I'm doing it for all of us, including me. Do you have any regrets about quitting your job and doing YouTube? Nope. If I had a better job, maybe. But no, my job was stressful and overbearing and relentlessly ridiculous. Like, girl, I'm just making up stuff now. Anyway, no, I do not regret quitting my job. So, y'all, that's the end of the Q&A. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I hope I was not all over the place, but real life, and I'm literally quitting a habit I've had for years. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.